A Disney artist side project is officially shipping inside Blender. Rive starts competing with game engines rather than Lottie, and Mikey Borup drops a banger of a glow plugin for After Effects. It's Motion Mondays. A lighting artist at Disney Animation built a Blender compositor node in his spare time, pitched it to the development team, and in July it's shipping inside Blender 5.2 as an official feature. His name is Pau Ohms, a lighting artist with credits on Moana 2 and Zootopia 2. The node turns any 3D render into a painterly image using watercolor, oil, or geometric brush textures. Before he touches the settings, Pau walks through art direction principles for good painting, specifically how painters vary detail based on the focal point. That's the key to using this well. Default settings give you something interesting, but understanding painting gives you something really good. You can stack multiple instances with Blender's position mask to keep a face sharp while the background smears. For animation, custom UV-based textures per element prevent the render from getting noisy. What I love about this is what it shows about Blender. Artists build tools for their exact workflows. The good ones catch on, and then they end up in the core app. Blender 5.2 is in beta now and ships mid-July. Rive's new GPU Canvas layer adds 3D models, custom shaders, and complete rendering pipelines to any Rive project. And the whole thing weighs 25 kilobytes, which is smaller than the fave icon on most websites. For context, 3.js, the popular JavaScript 3D library, starts at around 600 kilobytes. Rive is doing things at this file size that usually require shipping an entirely different runtime. Right now, GPU Canvas is developer first and intentionally low level. You can write custom shaders, import 3D models, and build full rendering pipelines. You can also treat 2D Rive components as interactive textures inside 3D scenes. Your existing state machines, responsive layouts, and animation layers sit on top of all of it unchanged. I had to test this out for myself, so I took an old Rive project, a portfolio hero animation from one of my tutorials, and decided I wanted it to look like it was playing on a 1980s CRT television with scan lines, barrel distortion, and chromatic aberration. I used the built-in Rive AI agent to write the shader because I know nothing about shader code. It didn't work the first time, or the second, but after going back and forth and getting specific about what I wanted, I had a working CRT effect in about 15 minutes with adjustable controls for every parameter. My original animation still runs underneath it, all the interactivity is still there, I can dial up the barrel distortion, reduce the scan lines, animate the noise. What this means big picture is that Rive is no longer just a Lottie competitor. It's starting to feel like a Unity or Unreal competitor that can even run on a web page. GPU Canvas is in early access now inside the Rive desktop app. There's a lot going on at School of Motion. We've got a community live stream next week with Aran Stern, our After Effects Insider instructor. Aran is covering advanced shape layer techniques in After Effects on June 11th at noon Eastern. It's free for all access members and you can RSVP in the community right now. 2 courses are landing this month as well. Unreal for Broadcast Designers with Jonathan Winbush shows you how to build real-time graphics packages using Unreal's motion design toolkit. And Rive Academy Kickstart is a completely revamped intro to Rive, rebuilt around the new UI. If you want to join the party, we are almost at 4,500 all-access members. All the details are at schoolmotion.com/all-access. When the maker of XParticles launches a particle system for Blender, that tells you something about where they think the industry is going. Insidium, the company that built XParticles and kept a generation of motion designers tethered to Cinema 4D, just dropped Nexus for Blender in public beta. It's a full GPU accelerated particle simulation system running fluids, smoke, and fire in real time in the viewport with flocking, constraints, and meshing on top. The beta is about 30% off the full price, so you're looking at around $130 right now. There's a free trial and the official launch is in July. Psyop could have sold to a holding company or private equity. Most studios their size eventually do. Instead, they built a network. Psyop launched Psyop Independent Media Group, formally uniting 20 studios under one umbrella. They work across animation, live action, and mixed media, and each studio stays independent. Psyop handles the client relationship and assembles the right team for each project. The pitch to brands is one call, but a world of talent at your fingertips. Notable studios include Igor and Valentine, LeCube, and Meat Department, with crews spread across more than a dozen cities globally. CEO Matt Honeycutt called it a next-generation studio collective for a world where most production networks are either private equity-owned or holding company-controlled. They're also pitching artist-authored AI pipelines as part of the offering, which is a more interesting answer to the AI question than most studios are giving right now. The full announcement is at Cartoon Brew. Check it out in the description. Higgsfield, who has spent the last year building a reputation for overhyped AI tools and lowbrow marketing tactics, just used Adobe's own extension framework to install competing AI models inside Premiere and After Effects. Now, the reputation issue is worth naming. Higgsfield ran marketing that said designers are dead and motion design is solved, which managed to alienate the exact people most likely to build something interesting with their tools. But a lot of studios have since figured out that the actual platform, stripped of the marketing, is solid. And now it lives inside Adobe. There are 5 tools in the panel: AI video and image generation, drop results straight into your timeline or comp. You also get automatic reframing, background removal using non-Adobe models, and 4K upscaling. The standout to me is draw to edit, where you literally draw on a clip to mark what you want to change and feed it into a model. You can do object removal, replacement, and addition without leaving the editor. YouTuber Rico Naza has a demo that's really cool, worth watching. Higgsfield does have a history of impressive demos that don't hold up when people try them, but this does feel like a move in the right direction. If you have a Higgsfield account, the plugin runs on your existing credits. Adobe Illustrator can now turn a rough sketch into a vector illustration. The part they don't show in the promo video is what it looks like in the outline view. The feature is called Concept to Vector. You feed in a sketch or photo, write a prompt, and choose from 6 AI models, including options from Google and OpenAI. It works in 2 modes. Vectorization retraces your existing art, and Remix uses your sketch as a reference to generate something new. The results look clean until they don't. Zoom into outline view and you find bad geometry, hidden white backgrounds, and overlapping anchor points. EJ tested it though and was impressed, but it still requires taste and cleanup for precise work. It's definitely good for ideation, not totally production ready for brand systems or animation yet. Interestingly, Adobe currently offers 6 non-Adobe AI models in the Illustrator dropdown, continuing its trend of hedging on their Firefly models' less than stellar performance. Now it's time for some cool work from across the interwebs. First, The Heist. This studio absorbed the Mill's talent after Technicolor's bankruptcy, and they just dropped a new Anthem reel that is imposter syndrome triggering. If you are going to hire the Mill, hire The Heist instead. Check it out along with their sweet new brand at theheist.com. Studio Dunbar built an animation system for Apple's global football coverage with hundreds of thousands of unique combinations updated daily. The case study is at the link in the description, and it is gorgeous. And design company D-Spot built interactive fan games for the EuroLeague Final Four using Rive, running live on an LED basketball court in front of thousands. Insanely cool, and a great example of what Rive unlocks for motion designers. All the links are in the description. What used to take a week of Houdini simulations now takes 30 minutes of prompting and picking the 20% of outputs that don't look terrible. I tried this in Figma Weave to find out if that's true. 3D Bonfire put out a video breaking down how to generate high-end cosmetic smear simulations using AI, the kind you'd usually build and render in Houdini over several days. He's working in Higgsfield Canvas. I wanted to see if I could get the same results in Figma Weave. The basic workflow goes like this. Create a rough stroke shape in any drawing tool, feed it and a reference image into Nano Banana 2 to generate a start and end frame, then feed both into a video model. I used Seed Dance 2.0. With the right prompt, you get something that would have taken days in 3D. Swap the base shape and you get different outputs. And it works, kind of. I had to tweak the prompt and generate several times, and every generation burns credits. Mine cost about 400 credits on Figma Weave, and it still wasn't perfect. The camera was moving when it shouldn't have been. There's a weird extra brush stroke on one side. Another 300 or 400 credits would probably get me where I want. That's the honest state of this workflow. You're almost trying to art direct a computer in a way is what it feels like, but the results are close to what you get shooting a smear over a plexiglass plate or building a fluid sim in Houdini for a fraction of the cost. For motion designers working with Luma mats and organic textures, this is definitely worth paying attention to. Adobe and NVIDIA announced a partnership that should make PC users happy and hopefully get us some nice speed improvements in Photoshop and Premiere. The partnership co-engineers Premiere, Photoshop, and Substance 3D around NVIDIA's RTX Spark superchip, promising up to 2 times faster AI and effects. Adobe's design evangelist Howard Pinsky flagged the real headline: Photoshop is transitioning from 5% to 100% GPU accelerated processing, and Premiere's core video engine is getting a massive upgrade. It's a real architectural shift. The press release also hints at AI agents in both apps, though no dates are set. If you're on a PC, you may have something to look forward to later this year. Us Mac users can go jump in a lake. A former VP at Frame.io watched Adobe buy his startup, and now he's building a peer-to-peer storage tool that directly undercuts the pricing of Frame.io and other cloud storage providers. His name is Michael Cioni, and he's the founder of Strada, a peer-to-peer storage platform that turns your existing RAID drives and hard drives into a network your remote team can access directly. Nothing uploads to the cloud. The advantage is cost. At School of Motion, we pay for Dropbox and Suite Studios together, which runs about $975 a month. Strada's pricing could save us between 8 and 10 grand a year. This is not chump change. Not having to pay the cloud tax really adds up. I'd be curious to run speed tests against what we're currently using. If we try it at School of Motion, I will report back. The trade-offs, though, are real. Cloud providers manage your redundancy. With Strada, the host machine has to stay on. You have to worry about backups, and if your RAID goes offline, your remote editor is dead in the water. For post houses with IT infrastructure to manage their own backups, those savings add up quickly. Strada is Mac OS only right now, with Windows coming later this year. You can find out more about it at strada.tech. The most interesting thing about Blender's 5.2 roadmap isn't any single feature. It's how many of them exist to make Blender work inside a studio pipeline, not just on a freelancer's machine. Blender 5.2 is in beta now and releases mid-July. The standout pipeline features include shared project environments, online hosted asset libraries for team use, and a new compositor modifier in the video sequencer that works like a compositor node tree applied directly to clips. The roadmap is live at the link in the description. Psyop just announced Cozy Blanket Pro, an AI-assisted Retopology tool. Retopology is one of the most tedious parts of 3D production, and Cozy Blanket Pro uses AI to predict quad flow and suggest edge loops while you retain final say. Think of it as Retopology autocomplete. There's no pricing yet, but there's a closed beta to sign up for at sparseal.com. Check out their landing page to see all the features, but the AI-assisted Retopology looks insane and is one of the things that I hear artists most wish AI could do. Well, maybe now it can. All Access member Sorcha McGlinky built her motion design career in Northern Ireland. She has a Celtic Award for an animated short, a published children's book, and a solid client roster. Now she's in Toronto and has decided to learn Cinema 4D. Sorcha is going through Cinema 4D Basecamp, and her first project is a ramen shop. She built ramen bowls with chopsticks and noodles using basic primitives. There are even blades of grass sticking out of the ground. For a first 3D project in Cinema 4D, this is gorgeous, Sorcha. I cannot wait to see what you build next. Mikey Borup spent years trying to build native After Effects plugins, kept hitting walls, and eventually built his own GPU plugin pipeline from scratch. The first thing out of that pipeline is a glow effect that I think is the fastest glow I've ever used. We are clearly living in the golden age of After Effects plugins. Element Glow is fast in a way that's hard to describe until you use it. I don't know what voodoo Mikey figured out, but it is essentially real time, regardless of comp complexity. The glow selection graph is the other big thing. Every other glow gives you a slider. Element Glow gives you a visual graph where you can target luminance, saturation, or hue, invert the selection, and control fall off. If you only want the saturated parts of your image to glow, that used to take a stack of effects. Now it's just a mode switch. There's also an under blend mode that composites your original on top of the glow, which is really great for type with a halo. Our After Effects Insider instructor, Aron Stern, has a full breakdown video worth watching. Officially, I have a feature request. Can you add a little noise option to the glow, Mikey? This plugin is $40 right now. Find it at the link in the description. And that's a wrap on Motion Mondays for this week. All Access members, don't forget to RSVP for the Aron Stern live stream next Thursday. He's covering shape layer techniques in After Effects that most people have no idea exist. Unreal for broadcast designers and Rive Academy Kickstart are both landing this month, and we'll let you know when they go live. If you want to join the nearly 4,500 people in the All Access community, all the details are at schoolofmotion.com/allaccess. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome week. I'll see you next Monday.